Everyone, checking our connection here, saying hello to you from high up in the Rocky Mountains, 9,200 feet. Happy Tuesday. We are going to enjoy just a little bit of stillness together, a little bit of dropping in. So these are hashtag Be Home Together sessions, and it has been more than 3 weeks now that we've been doing this, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for being my excuse for getting on every day and having to practice stillness to get ready for these calls or these Zoom lives, or not Zoom. Man, I have been using so much technology. Have you guys been doing that too? I'm on Zoom every day and Instagram every day and Facebook at the same time right now. Those two things. But so we're going to be home together just for a little bit. Hashtag Be Home Together sessions. And I've been thinking a lot about the idea of vulnerability. I know a lot of people are feeling very vulnerable right now, and not because they're choosing to feel that way. So we're gonna look at that idea together. But first, we're gonna come home. So that idea of coming home and being at home in ourselves right now, and having, hi honey, good morning, over the mountains to my fiance. We're going to take a moment. Jenny, Sue, so good to see you, Jenny. So we're just going to take a moment to be still. And I put my hands over my heart just to remind myself that this is not a mental exercise, but that we get to drop in all the way and just be present and experience a sense of home right where we are. If you're sitting in a chair, I invite you just to relax and let yourself be held. Consciously feel your body being supported, yourself being held, carried right now in whatever way that you're sitting. If you can feel your feet on the ground, that's great. If you can feel cradled, that's the best. That sense of feeling held, that you're not holding yourself up, you're not having to effort. Right now, just drop that efforting and that tension and take a nice deep breath in and blow it all out. So we go through 3 things each day. If you're standing like me, also you can feel held because you can feel the floor holding you and supporting you. And I'm going to go ahead and invite you to close your eyes and just drop into where you're sitting. And I'm going to walk us through the 3 things that we remember each morning together. I belong here. I belong in this moment exactly as it is, with the challenges that it's presenting. I belong here in this place, this location, this family dynamic, this space that I'm in right now in this moment is exactly where I belong. And I can feel my sense of belonging right now in this moment. Take another breath. I am ready. I am ready for what is mine to tackle, to handle, to invite, to welcome. I'm ready for the growth that is here for me. I'm ready to move into whatever I'm needing to move into, to learn resilience and courage, strength, love and joy. I am ready. Another deep breath. I am not alone. I'm not alone because I choose to be here with myself. I will not abandon myself. I am here, ready to listen to the still small voice of truth guiding me, leading me into the next right decision, the next right step. I am not alone because love is closer to me than my very breath, and that still small voice is right there with me. I am not alone. I belong here. I am ready. I am not alone. So that's what we start with each morning, just dropping into that space. I call that being home. That's why we're being home together, just to be at home in ourselves. And this morning for the readings, I have 3 little things for you. One I wrote myself this morning in thinking about this idea of vulnerability, and I'm going to share that with you. And then I have a Mary Oliver poem, and I have a little story from Brian, Andreas, and Fia Sky. So this is my writing from today. Vulnerability is one of our words at the school where I live for this year, as we've been learning that to be truly courageous, we must be vulnerable. Brené Brown says that vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. I've found it's a form of humility that makes way for deep healing and growth. To be vulnerable is to be open. We must be open, drop our shoulds, our certainty, our fixed human beliefs in order for new possibility to become visible. Rigidity softens when we open our heart. When I work with clients or the students here at the school where I do some counseling, when someone is struggling and they can't possibly imagine resolution to their problem, I ask them to do this. My students, if they see this, they'll recognize this, and my clients. Just open your heart this much to the possibility that love has a solution for you. I truly believe there is always, always, always a way when we listen. But we must create an opening in the armor we've so carefully crafted in order to hear the still small voice inside giving us solutions beyond our human reasoning and awareness. To be vulnerable doesn't mean drop all the ways you protect yourself. You've developed these to survive. To practice vulnerability, consider creating just this much space. That love, the infinite source of all of us, has infinite resources to meet our needs. Being vulnerable is creating the opening to let love in. Let love control and govern our being. Then this place becomes the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and the kind of change that transforms our whole life. Don't be afraid of feeling vulnerable right now. Our vulnerability is our crack where the light gets in, and that light changes everything. So that's just my thoughts on vulnerability this morning. And as I was thinking about a poem that goes with that, I've been wanting to read this poem for a while, and I was thinking about how vulnerability makes the room to experience joy, even in the midst of hardship. And so things can be very challenging, and yet you can notice, the little sprout coming through the concrete and feel a sense of joy at that expression of resilience and persistence, or whatever that is, a smile as you pass somebody in the hallway of the hospital you're working at. Jenny Sue, I know you're working at a hospital. Thank you for your work, by the way. So the poem I'm going to read today is called Don't Hesitate. To feel joy, we have to be vulnerable, have that little opening for the light to get in. So here it is. Don't hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. That's Don't Hesitate by Mary Oliver. And for the last little bit of sharing for today, I have another story of the angels. I've been thinking about last week. I mentioned that I'm constantly looking for those angels showing up on the path. And if you noticed any angels, I'd love to hear about them over your weekend or the last few days. But reading from this little booklet called Everyday Angels by Brian, Andreas, and Fia Sky, this is the little story I'm going to share for today. And it's called Glow. Now and then I'll be walking down the street and I'll see someone glow with light. And I'll say a quick prayer of thanks for that reminder that it's everywhere all the time. But I've gotten too distracted to see it for a while. So again, that's from the story Glow. Now and then I'll be walking down the street and I'll see someone glow with light. And I'll say a quick prayer of thanks for that reminder that it's everywhere all the time. But I've gotten too distracted to see it for a while. That's the Brian Andreas story. Hi, Kaylee. Thanks for joining. So that is our little treasure trove for the day of a poem, a story, and a little bit of thoughts about vulnerability and how to see that as an opening for love to get in and for love to show us the possibilities that we didn't know even existed. If you're feeling vulnerable right now, and darkness, a feeling of darkness can definitely make us feel vulnerable. Know that you're in the right place. Know that you're right where you're supposed to be. You're right where you belong in that space. But make just this much room for the love, for light to get in and show you the next step, the next solution. So much love to you all. Have a beautiful day. Take care.